Cain returns to the palace, and he meets with Magna, Eric, and the king. He gives them the letter Yuya has given him for the king. When the king reads the letter, he refuses to believe that Cain could have met Yuya. He asks Cain if it's true that the first thing Yuya is still alive. So Cain narrates to him that Yuya had created a separate world for himself, which is where he now lives. And as a result of that, he has become the god of creation, and he has the same power as the other gods. The king still doubts his statement, so to show them confirmation, I generated these images using the AI neural network from your comments from the last video. It's very funny and unusual, I can't stop laughing. Write creative and funny comments, and I'll show you the best ones through AI neural networks in the next video. He brings out the sword Yuya has given him, he tells them the sword should confirm that he has met Yuya. And immediately, the king and his ministers see the sword. It recognizes the same katana that the first king was rumored to use during his days. The king tells Cain that according to the letter, he could see that Cain was trained by the old king Yuya. Cain admits to that, and he narrates to them that he had to undergo training every day. He was left in the forest and made to fight several monsters in the forest. Then he had to fight a very strong instructor every day, and he collapsed after every fight until the day he eventually won. He even tells them he had to fight and train every day and night for 5 years. He has forgotten that 5 years in the other world is just a few days in his world. So when he mentions that he trained for 5 years, the king stands up and screams at him, asking how it is possible that he trained for 5 years when he was just missing for a few days. He tries to explain himself, but the tension is too much for him to take, so Eric comes to his rescue. Eric says whether it's 5 years or days, it doesn't matter, what matters is that during his absence, they got a letter from the guild on his behalf. Cain has missed adventuring, so he is excited to know the content of the letter, only for Eric to tell him that the guild leader said he has been missing from the guild for a while. He had forgotten that there are some missions he needs to accomplish to seal his promotions to rank A. And if he doesn't visit to do that immediately, his promotion and his adventure card will be revoked. He screams. Eric asks him if he had forgotten that he needed to take some missions and says despite meeting with the first king, he is still as clumsy as always. He also agrees that he is still very clumsy despite all his achievements. He doesn't want his card to be revoked, so he immediately goes to the guild. He meets the attendant who takes him to the guild leader. The guild leader tells him that it has been a while since they have met each other and says he didn't come to the guild for a long time. Cain couldn't reveal why he missed his attendance at the guild, so he only tells the guild leader that he had been going through a lot for the past few days since he'd resumed school, and he had also had some emergencies he had to take care of. The guild leader accepts his excuse but tells him that his younger sister Tijuana is angry. She has been complaining that she couldn't find him, and she had been complaining that she had found no one to have her duels with. And if she keeps up like that, she may have to burst with an overflow of energy. Cain tells him he will find Tijuana and apologize to her. He goes to the subject of the day and asks him about the letter he has sent to him. The guild leader reminds Cain that before he took the promotion to rank A, he was told that he needed to subjugate some bandits. Cain admits that he had knowledge about it and apologizes that he had failed. He asks the guild leader if he really meant to revoke his card, and the guild leader tells him that the only way he could avoid that is to take the mission and get through with it immediately. Cain is tired, he has just returned from another world, and he didn't know he was going to go through all this. He wonders if he can do that later, but the guild leader tells him that if he doesn't take the mission that day, his card will be revoked. So he asks to take the mission. The guild leader brings out his mission. He is to subjugate some bandits who have appeared on the road to Gracia. He warns him beforehand that the bandits are about 10, and they are rumored to be very strong. He asks him if he thinks he can subjugate them and reminds Cain that he is the strongest man in the country. Cain accepts the mission, asking if he only needs to bring the bandits to the city and not kill them. After he gets all his instructions, he gets straight to his mission. He jumps to the outskirts of the city, and when he arrives at the forest, he uses fly to fly around and find the bandits. He sights them and sees that they are fighting against some travelers. He jumps there and tells the travelers that he will rescue them. As he is about to fight, the lady calls his name. He turns to look at them and he sees that the victims are his old teachers Millie and Nina and Parma's father Sabina. He looks ahead and sees that Millie is injured. He immediately calls out for her and goes to meet her. He uses his heel to heal her wound and asks her to step back from the fight so he can fight. Before Millie retreats, she tells the bandits that her team has increased. They laugh at her, asking her if she is putting her hope on a young child and tell her that there is nothing the small boy could do, and he should just go and meet his mother. They all laugh, and Cain asks them if they really think he is weak. The first Bandit runs to him, and Cain pushes him off. He keeps hitting and fighting the others until he eventually subjugates them, and they retire. He goes to meet his teachers, who ask him where he is coming from and how he sees them at that place. He tells them that he is now an adventurer, and he took a mission to subjugate the bandits. They can't believe what they are hearing. Millie reminds him that a mission to subjugate either bandits or monsters is always restricted to rank C and above. So how could he take on such a mission? He brings out his ranked card and shows them he is in rank A. They scream. They wonder how that has happened since he is just 12. So he explains to them that due to some of his works, he was promoted speedily. They wonder how they will take the bandits to the city, but he asks them to leave that to him. He ties the bandits up and puts them in a cage. He drags the cage back to the city, and they stop at Parma's house to drop off her father. Parma comes out to greet them. Her father tells her Cain had saved them when they faced bandits. She goes on to appreciate Cain, who claims it's just because it was his mission. She wonders how Cain could cope with being a student and an adventurer, plus he also has his work as a baron. His teachers hear that he is a baron, they are glad on his behalf, and Millie reminds him that they can no longer call him by his name as they do, and they now have to put baron behind his name. But he begs them not to worry. She hugs him happily. They go to the guild, where he drops a letter from Sabina to confirm that he indeed subjugated the bandits, and he also tells the attendant that the bandits are outside the guild. He hears a man calling Millie behind him. When he turns, it turns out to be the same set of violent adventurers who had tried to harass the attendant the first day he came to the guild. The man tells Millie that he has missed her, and she should follow him so he will show her the city. She immediately refuses his offer and walks out, but he tries to touch her. Cain interferes and holds his hands. He is about to scream at Cain when he sees his face and remembers he is the same one who hit them the last time. The team falls down. Claude walks in, and he notices the aura in the guild. The men notice him and run away, while Claude goes to meet Cain and wonders why he keeps getting into trouble with the men. Cain narrates that the men had tried to touch his friends, and Millie comes out as his friend. He calls Millie and Nina his teacher, but Claude wonders how he knows Millie. Claude reveals that Millie is his sister, and Millie also reminds him of the child she told him he was tutoring some years ago. To celebrate the grand reunion, they decide to have a drink. As they drink, Claude asks them how they reunited at that place, and Millie narrates that they met Cain when he was in the forest to subjugate some bandits. She says she was on an escort mission with Nina, and they were ambushed by the bandits. The bandits overpowered them, and they kept fighting. Fortunately, Cain came by, and he saved them. She tells her brother that Cain took the bandits down in a split second, and Cain is already in rank A. Claude is shocked. He remembers that Cain had just registered at the guild a few weeks ago. He concludes that, considering Cain's strength, his promotion isn't really shocking. Nina admits that Cain is strong. She says Cain is not just Garm's son, but he is something bigger. Millie wonders how Cain had become that strong, but Cain knows he can't tell them how he trained with Yuya. Billy answers her question by remembering how Cain killed several monsters even as a child. She brings out the item bag Cain made for her, and Nina also brings out her own. Lena, Claude's wife, sees the bag and asks them how much it can contain. They inform her that their bag has never been filled before, and Cain tells them it could contain a house. She begs Cain to make one for them because their bag can't contain much. He promises to help her out, and she sleeps on his body. Claude apologizes on behalf of his wife because she doesn't really drink well. He tells Cain that Lena won't remember all she has said by the next day. Cain remembers that he has to go to school the following day, and they wonder how someone like him, considering his knowledge, is going to school. He claims he has to learn more about what he knows, and Nina is so proud of him. She asks to hug him, but he runs away. After he leaves, Claude comments that he knows Cain is going through a lot, and he wishes there was a way they could help him. Coincidentally, the guild attendant walks around disturbed, and she confides in them that the adventurer who is meant to take the adventuring class at Cain's school is injured, and they need a quick replacement. That seems like an opportunity to make Cain feel better, so they accept the responsibility. The following day at school, the teacher asks the students to have a magic release while Cain is excited that he can now show them what he has learned from Yuya. The teacher tells him that he is barred from releasing magic in the school because even the greatest barrier can't hold his magic. He walks around sad, and Claude watches him with his friends and plans what to do. The next class is the adventuring class. The teacher introduces the adventurers who would take them that day, rank A adventurers Lena and Claude and rank B adventurers Nina and Millie. Claude welcomes the students and asks them to bring out their adventuring cards. Cain knows he will be the center of attention if he shows up with his gold card, so he lies that he forgot his card at home. They move for training, and they are to train swords with Claude. Claude refuses to train with Cain first, and when Cain goes to meet Lena, Lena also refuses because Cain has been stopped from magic release. The reason behind the adults' decision is that they want to know the kids' strengths and then fight with Cain as the last student, so the kids can know Cain is strong and he is their hero. Cain stays on the line excited to fight. Unfortunately, when it is his turn, the bell rings for the close of the lecture. He couldn't train with Claude, and angrily he goes to the forest to release his magic and destroys everywhere. The soldiers assume that it is the work of the Prince of Darkness. They run to the forest and they see the damages Cain has done. They report to the king that the Prince of Darkness has attacked, and the king calls for Cain's advice. The king wonders if he should ask for the help of other communities, but Cain stops him. He feels Cain is hiding something from him, so Cain eventually confesses. On the other hand, Aaron loses himself from bondage.